When you play in the Forgotten Realms, you're stepping into a world carved by chaos, war, and divine interference. These aren't just background stories. These are world-shaking events that bent reality, destroyed empires, and changed the very rules of magic. Let's break them down. 1. The Fall of Netheril. Netheril was the crown jewel of arcane power in the Forgotten Realms, a civilization where magic wasn't just studied, it was worshipped. Archwizards raised entire cities into the sky, created pocket dimensions, and played with time and mortality as if they were toys. The most ambitious of these was Carus, a prodigy whose hubris knew no bounds. Obsessed with the idea of achieving godhood, Carus created the most dangerous spell ever conceived, Carus's Avatar. Designed to wrest divinity from a god, it targeted Mistral, the then goddess of magic and the weave. The spell worked. Briefly. Carus became a god, but his mortal mind couldn't handle the burden of divine power. The weave collapsed, magic failed, and floating cities plummeted like falling stars. Mistral, in her final act, sacrificed herself to prevent further catastrophe, and was reborn as Mistra. The destruction was apocalyptic. What remained of Netheril was buried beneath sand and sorrow, a warning to all who dare fly too close to divinity. 2. The Time of Troubles. In 1358 DR, the gods fell from grace, literally. When the tablets of fate, divine artifacts that outlined the roles of gods, were stolen, Io the Overgod had enough. As punishment, he cast down every deity to the mortal plane. Suddenly, gods like Bain, Mistra, and Helm were bound by flesh and bone, forced to wander Faerun among their worshippers. Chaos erupted. Temples were desecrated. Divine magic became unstable, and mortal adventurers found themselves fighting literal gods. Mistra tried to reclaim the weave, but was slain by Helm while attempting to ascend the celestial stairway. Baal, the god of murder, went on a killing spree. His essence would later reincarnate into mortal children, including Palspawn like the infamous Gorion's ward. Cyric, once a mortal thief, betrayed his companions and used the power vacuum to ascend, replacing several gods at once. The Time of Troubles redefined divinity, creating new gods and reshaping faith across the realms. 3. The Spellplague. The death of Mistra in 1385 DR, orchestrated by Cyric and Shar, once again destabilized the weave. But this time, the backlash was even more catastrophic. The result was the Spellplague, a magical pandemic that ravaged Faerun for over a century. Imagine arcane energy turned feral. Entire continents shifted. The kingdom of Halruaa vanished in a blue firestorm. The city of Neverwinter was torn apart. Spellcasters exploded or mutated. Even the laws of magic itself were rewritten. Those who survived the blue fire were often marked. Some became plague-changed, twisted beings with unpredictable powers. Others gained abilities far beyond mortal comprehension. Shar, goddess of darkness, tried to use the chaos to solidify her hold over shadow magic. Meanwhile, new magical paradigms like Spellscarred and wild magic zones became the new normal. The Spellplague blurred the lines between worlds, opening rifts to Abeir, Faerun's sister planet. It wasn't just a crisis, it was a cosmic rewrite. The Fourth Sundering. Fast forward to 1482 DR. The Second Sundering was Ao's attempt to restore balance after the magical anarchy of the Spellplague. The merging of Abeir and Elturel was coming undone, and Ao wanted to separate them once and for all. This time, it wasn't just gods at war. Mortals became chosen, avatars of divine will. Figures like Elminster, Laeral Silverhand, and even Drizzt Do'Urden became pivotal players. Civilizations were reshaped, The sea swallowed parts of the Sword Coast. Mulhorand, once ruled by god-kings, saw the return of its deities. Magic began to stabilize under Mystra's renewed leadership. It wasn't a single event, but a series of cataclysms that shifted political borders, realigned pantheons, and effectively rebooted the realms into a more classic era. It was the Forgotten Realms hitting the reset button with a hammer. 5. The Rage of Dragons. For millennia, dragons have suffered from an uncontrollable berserker state known as the Rage. Every few centuries, this madness would spread like wildfire, causing dragons to rampage across Faerun without warning. Turns out, it was a side effect of an ancient betrayal. The dragon god Asgorath once cursed her children, and the echoes of that curse lingered in the form of this rage. In the most recent rage, Tiamat saw opportunity. Cults across Faerun conspired to bring her into the world. Mass sacrifices were conducted. The Red Wizards of Thay got involved, and Baldur's Gate trembled. Adventurers had to battle chromatic dragons, thwart cult rituals, and eventually face Tiamat herself in the Nine Hells to prevent her full return. It was more than dragon madness. It was the closest the world had ever come to being ruled by draconic tyranny. 6. The Rise and Fall of the Shadovar. The ancient city of Shade, one of the last remnants of Netheril, returned from the Plane of Shadow to reclaim its empire. Led by the shadowy archmage Prince Telemont Tanthul and his sons, the Shadovar represented a darker, more cunning version of Netherese ambition. They established power bases in Analrock, manipulated regional politics, and began hoarding magical artifacts with the goal of restoring Netheril's supremacy. But their rise was built on arrogance and cruelty. They clashed with the Chosen of Mystra, interfered in the Second Sundering, and were eventually wiped out in a cataclysmic battle over Myth Draenor. The City of Shade fell once more, and this time, it didn't rise again. The lesson? Even shadows can burn. 7. The Descent into Avernus. Elturel, a shining beacon of righteousness, was secretly doomed. High Overseer Thavius Krieg made a pact with Zariel, Archduchess of Avernus, in a bid to protect the city from threats. In return, he signed away the soul of Elturel itself. Years later, the city was ripped from the earth and dragged into the Nine Hells. Citizens found themselves surrounded by devils, chained to an infernal war machine called the Companion, a false sun that watched their descent. A group of mortal adventurers uncovered the truth, fought their way through the Blood War, and brokered deals with devils to save the city. They even confronted Zariel herself, who once had been a mortal paladin. Elturel's fall and salvation showed the realms just how thin the line is between divine light and infernal damnation. These 7 events didn't just shake the realms, they tore holes through its history, molded heroes and villains, and changed the way magic, faith, and fate worked. In Faerun, even time has scars. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the lore, be sure to smash that like button like a barbarian on a rampage. And if you want to keep uncovering the mysteries of the realms, don't forget to roll for subscription and hit the bell so you never miss a quest. Until next time, may your rolls be high and your loot be legendary.